Hi everyone. Today we are doing something very exciting. I am going to be asking Chloe about her story. I'm Natalie Kent and we've just met.
Yeah, we
Really?
met a couple of weeks ago. But she's actually one of my best friends.
Well, we're both a bit crazy and clicked like that. And we are here today because, well, I'm here asking Chloe some questions because she has an amazing story to tell that could help many people out there. And I know she's very passionate about telling it too. So we're going to start there. Over to you. How did all of this begin?
So, to start my story off, my name is Chloe and I've lived with depression and anxiety for 10 years. I've been diagnosed with 5 different mental illnesses over 10 years. The first was bipolar 2. The second was major depression, anxiety disorder, PTSD, schizophrenia, and schizoaffective disorder. Over the period of the last 10 years, I've had 2 suicide attempts and I've been hospitalised twice. I've spent 6 months in a mental institution in Melbourne undergoing ECT after my first suicide attempt. And today I'm here to talk about getting off drugs and getting your life back, which is what I've done. That's me in a nutshell, guys.
It's all on the table now. What do we do with this? My God. Well, first of all, that's the thing that struck me about you when I first met you was your eyes and the fire in your eyes. Like, this woman has courage that's rare. It is rare. And that's really what inspired me to tease this story out of you, because you got to show how courageous you are in what you've been through, and you've come out the other side, or you're coming out of the other side. But your last suicide attempt was only 1 year ago.
So I'd like to talk about that. That's the thing that changed my life. So a year ago, June 24th last year, I was planning on putting my car onto the tracks in front of the GAN. I researched for about 3 weeks, trying to find the right spot. I found the right spot. I wrote a suicide note, said goodbye to my kids that morning and went out there. I sat by the tracks and waited for the train. I just need to take a minute. My heart's gone crazy. You just have to give me 10 seconds. I just need to sit with myself for 10 seconds. I need to open my heart, and I have to open my heart to tell my story, because if I can't open my heart, it doesn't come from within. And this is a really special story, and hopefully this special story can stop other people suiciding. My main purpose in life is to tell people that who are considering suicide that life is beautiful. Life is amazing, life is perfect, life is unreal, and all you've got to do is reach out. When you feel that you need help, you do need help. And I was lucky, because my story is that I found the courage, and I found in the split circumstance that I was either going to die or I was going to move forward. So on that morning, I got in my car, I pulled my car out onto the tracks. The train, it had not blown its horn yet. It was coming along. So I'm sitting, and you have to understand, people talk about suicide and they talk about that it takes that you're not courageous and that you don't have strength. But if you stand beside the tracks and you you understand that there's a train coming along that's huge, and it's the animosity and the power that's behind a train. So I pulled my car onto the tracks, and I sat there and I looked to my right and I looked down, and in one split second was all it took. In one split second from looking right to coming back, something in my head went bang. And it was that point in my life that I realised I'm either going to die today or I'm going to wake up and I'm going to start living. And I did. So as quick as I did that, I reversed off the train tracks. I could not reverse as quick. I could not reverse quick enough. But it was like in that point, the whole, everything slowed down. It was like all the universes came together. So it might have only been 5 seconds, if that, but it felt like a lifetime of possibilities, a lifetime of memories, a lifetime of life, a lifetime of your heartbeat. And I think in that sense, something happened to me. My soul, my spirit, something came out and it left. It left, and I almost felt like I was reborn. So I reversed my car off and I got out of my car, and I don't know if you've ever been really close to a train as it comes past, the speed and the velocity as the train came past. I fell on my knees and I screamed and screamed because that was my life. That was me. That was going to be me. I wasn't going to be here. So it's like, it's the fork in the road. It's that choice that you choose to live, you choose to die. You know, there's so many people that do suicide, and you think, okay, so what's the point where you get to that you can't go back? I was lucky because I could go back, whereas there's so many people that can't go back because the train's there. They've already jumped. The noose is too tight. They can't undo it. So from that day, I realised I'm not going to die. I've got to start living. And that was a year ago. My life was a mess. I was extremely depressed. I was on 9 different drugs at the time: antipsychotic, antidepressant, a mood stabilizer. I was taking Valium for my anxiety attacks. I was taking oxazepam for sleep. I was taking 3 other different medications to counteract those 4 different medications that I was on. So I started to crawl out of my hole. That meant organising my life, which was organising my finances, which were a mess because I didn't want to be here. And when you don't want to be here, your life kind of crumbles because you don't put any energy and effort into the future.
Yeah.
So I'll come back and talk about that a bit later on. But the next pinnacle in my life was getting off drugs. I've been on drugs for 10 years. I can't say exactly how many drugs I've been on, but I would probably have to say about maybe 50. I sat in the doctor's room with my doctor, and on the back of the wall there's a chart that says all the different psychiatric drugs that are used for all the different disorders, and I had tried every single one of them except 2, and that's over a 10-year period. So they would try a drug and it wouldn't work, so they would try another drug and that didn't work, or there'd be a different side effect and they'd use another drug to counteract that drug. So for the last 10 years, all I've known is drugs. So when I went and saw my doctor in January, I was having a really, really bad time. I was very, very depressed. I was having crazy anxiety attacks. I was hearing terrible derogatory voices, calling me names, yelling at me. There was one night, sometimes I talk about it as if it wasn't severe, but it was extremely severe, extremely severe. There was one night that I was sleeping and I woke up and thought that someone was breaking into my house, except it wasn't, it was my head. There were voices, people screaming and banging, and I jumped out of bed and ran around and thought that there was someone outside my window, but it wasn't. It was all in my head. And that's how amazing the mind is. That's how amazing that this thing can create all this negative when there's so much positive in here. So I sat down with my doctor and he said, Chloe, I think it's time that we put you on clozapine. And if you know what clozapine is, it is the drug of all drugs for people with mental illnesses. It is a drug that you have to go on a database. It has to be regulated. You have to have blood tests once a week, and you have to be admitted to hospital quite a few times, but actually when you start it, so they can regulate you and to see if you've got any side effects. So I was sitting in the doctor's surgery and I was sitting there with my head bent down, and from the bottom of my feet, when he said, Chloe, we need to put you on clozapine, it was like this, I would call it like an awakening or a roar, like a primal roar, like it starts at your feet. You can feel the ground and work up, and it was like popping and snapping, and it's like this roar, this thing coming up my body. I had my head bent and I looked up and just said, no more drugs, no more drugs. And in that point I made a decision, and that decision was to take no more drugs, and it's changed my life. So we stopped the drugs, well, to taper off the first 6 to 8 weeks, and then I went back to see him and he said, how you going? And I said, yeah, really, really good. And he said, okay, we'll keep tapering off. Except I wasn't a very good patient. When he said that, I got the shits and I went home and I threw my whole drug bag in the bin and said, I don't want to take drugs. So I didn't. I threw it in the bin. So that was like 8 weeks later, because we were tapering off. We went from 100 to 50 in a few weeks to whatever, and I don't even remember what I was tapering off. I just thought, what the fuck am I doing? No, I'm not supposed
And what
to say
happened?
it. Well, I didn't tell him. I just threw them out, and so that's going from tapering off, going cold turkey from no Valium, no oxazepam, so no antidepressants, no antipsychotics. So, but it's weird. That day that I threw them out is the day that I actually really started living as well, because the day that you make a decision, a really firm decision, and you use all your willpower and you use all your positive, all your energy into making yourself a better person, you start doing things differently. So you make better decisions. You stop drinking. You go to bed early. So the day that I stopped my drugs, I got up at 4:30 in the morning and I watched YouTube for 2 hours. I put on the Law of Attraction and I put on positive thoughts and I put on how to pump your head full of good affirmations. And every single day for the next, it's been 4 or 5 months, every day since I've got up at 4:30 and I still do the same thing. And it was little decisions like that, decisions that affect your everyday life, but actually they're big decisions at the end of the day. So it's like once you decide to live, like once you fully, like deep down in here, once you decide that you want to embrace life and you want to be here and you want the universe to be on your side and you want to be a good person, you are. All you've got to do is start living. So I did the normal things. I went back to work. I joined the gym in January and I started running hardcore actually at 4:30 every morning. Then when I stopped my drugs, I started running like a crazy woman. And it's like when I stopped the drugs, it's like the world came alive. Like people, colours were brighter, people were more interesting. It's like, it feels like I've been asleep. Like I've been asleep for 10 years. It feels like I've been like this. Just curled up, like just in a little ball, just like this, and just been fed drugs. Here you go. Just take this. It'll make you feel better. And then when you say no to drugs and when you actually trust yourself and trust, the thing is that's most important is trusting your brain and trusting yourself that people say that you've got a mental illness and that you're deranged or you're not right in the head or you're not of sound mind. But if you stop listening to all that and actually start listening to your own heart and your own head, and you trust yourself that you are a good person and that your thoughts are genuine and you are the best person that knows who you are. So the day that I stopped giving someone else my power is the day that I took my power back. And that's what I'm doing. And every day is a miracle for me. Every day that I get to wake up, sometimes it's at 3 o'clock, sometimes it's at 1 o'clock because I'm so excited, I just want to get out of bed and run. Every day I wake up, I smile. Every day I meet someone beautiful, I smile because I'm alive. And that's the most important thing to me, is being alive. When I ran my first marathon 4 weeks ago, I was in the start line and there were 450 other people around me. And the start line the start whistle had just gone off. And I remember standing there and I looked around and I was looking around at all these people and I just had this crazy, overwhelming sense of emotion and I yelled out, "Oh my fucking God, I'm alive! Oh my God, I'm alive! I'm alive!" And I had tears streaming down my eyes because I was so happy that I was alive. And then I had to rein it in and go, "Oh, hang on, the marathon started. I've got to run. So I dried my tears up and I ran. And I have moments like that all the time because I'm alive. And that's the most beautiful thing. And if I can talk to someone, anyone out there that's thinking about suicide or thinking that the best thing to do is to end your life, it's not. It's the worst thing. It's a decision. It's a decision that you don't have to make. It's a decision that it's a fork in the road. It's a fork in the road. And if you step back, if you just keep stepping back, you'll realize that you have an army around you. You've got all these people. So many people that love you. You've got so many people. Just step back. Just keep stepping back. Because you're banging into them. and they'll hug you, and they'll hug you. One of the other things that I worked out was really one of the other things I worked out that was really, really, really efficient for me is because I've dealt with so many 10 years of really bad thoughts, really negative put downs to myself, like the most horriblest things that you would never ever say to anybody else. And what I focused on was the ability. So what used to happen to me when I'd get an anxiety attack or I would feel really, really depressed is that I would start with a thought. So the first thought would be, okay, I just had a conversation with someone and I might have said something like, oh my God, what are you wearing? Like something stupid and crazy. And then all of a sudden your brain takes that back and goes, oh my God, did I just say that? And then, yeah, you did say that. Oh, what will they think? Oh my God, they might think I'm a fuckhead. Oh my God. And then, and then it kind of gets bigger from there. Oh, well, if she thinks that, then maybe her friends might think that. And, and then all of a sudden that thought that, that tiny little thought of, did I just say that? Yeah, I did. She won't like me, but then her friends might like me. Oh, but then she might not invite me out to a party. But then if she doesn't invite me out to a party, then I'll be lonely. But if I'm lonely, I won't have any friends. And then I'll be sitting by myself on the couch. And, this tiny little thought that you have manifests into this huge, big drama. And I thought, okay, so how do you stop that thought before it gets in and turns into the drama? You stop it the moment you think it. So you think that thought and you stop it. And the only way I could do that was if I started yelling at my thoughts. So I worked.
That's cool.
So I worked out this strategy. Every time I would get a bad thought that came into my head, I would turn to it and I would go, "Fuck off, delusion." And every time I would say that, it would stop. And it would just go. And then I had the capacity and I had the space inside my brain to turn around and focus on something else. And that focusing on something else, whether work, kids, something, took away from that energy and took away from that mass that could be, that little thought that could be a massive mass, and bring it back to the present, right now, which is the most important, because the anxiety and the depression you feel is in the future. The anxiety is in the future. Oh, what about this? What about that? What about this? What about this? What happens if I do this? What happens if I say that? They might think this. And the depression is in the past. I did this. I'm a bad person. Nobody will like me. I hate me. Whereas if you get rid of all that cloud, you just get rid of it, and you focus on like right now, like what is happening right now? Who are you with? Who are you talking to? What is going on? What is happening? What do your hands look like? What's the weather like? It's about being present. It's about being present right now. And that's what I worked out, is if I'm present and I'm solely present right now, you can't have anxiety. You can't have depression, because you're not living in the past and you're not living in the future. You're actually living like right now. Anyway.
I love you. You're freaking amazing. Amazing. I don't even know what to ask from that. It's all, there's so much gold in everything that you've shared. It's just so relevant to people. And especially I want to talk about, you're actually energetically or psychically gifted. And this is what many people who are on, have been diagnosed with mental illness or are on prescription drugs for that are actually simply highly sensitive people who are perhaps seeing things, hearing things, whatever, guidance from other realms, and that's misunderstood.
So it's kind of a new, it's not new, I've always felt this energy, this beautiful energy, especially before I started drugs. Just want to share one comment. Because I am not the same person that I was 6 months ago, I don't look the same, I don't dress the same, I don't have the same mannerisms. People walk past me in the street and they don't recognise me. And I say hello to them, they're like, Chloe, what happened to you? And a lady the other day said, because the reason they don't recognise me is because when you take that many drugs, the drugs make you put on weight, and they make you put on a lot of weight. I went up to 86 kilos, so I put on an extra 24 kilos with all my drugs. So I've lost all that, and I'm down to 63, which is my normal weight. Which is that's one of the worst side effects about the drugs. Anyway, what was I talking about again?
Being energetically gifted.
Being energetically. Does energetically gifted mean I like running? Or does energetically gifted...
Well, you don't just run. You need to explain that. Shit happens when Chloe runs.
Weird stuff happens to me all the time. Like, I'm running along and street lights go out in front of me, and then I run underneath them and they go back on again, and I get stroppy because I can't see because it's dark.
And then you also have company.
So since I don't have any drugs in my system, it's like I can feel energy, and I can walk into a room and I've got this awareness of other people, and it's almost like because I live my life by my heart and my body, they tell me about people, and they tell me about how I'm really feeling about people, and they tell me about the decisions that I should make in my life and where I should be. Just a quick story before that. So when I was coming out of the drugs, and because I was using my body, exercising from 2 to 4 hours a day, might be extreme, but I'm pretty extreme. And I was learning how to get back in touch with my body again. My body was talking to me. So one day when I was at Woolies, I decided to do an experiment. So I was standing in front of the lunchbox section, and on the left-hand side there were reusable lunchboxes, and on the right-hand side there were plastic bags, and one was 99 cents and one was $4. And I thought, am I a true greenie? Do I really care about the environment? Or should I just go to 99 cents because it's cheaper and it doesn't matter? So this is in the middle of Woolies, so I stood there and I put my hands on my heart like this, and I put one hand up like this, and as I went like this, my heart went and it sung, and my whole body just snapped and popped and just really, really excited. So I knew. And then on the right hand side, I put my hand up to get the plastic bags, and it was like hot and prickly, and I knew that wasn't the right decision. So it's basic things like that. But if you listen to your heart and you listen to your body, and you don't know how you're feeling, or you're a bit cautious, sometimes if you shut your eyes and put your hand on your heart, your body tells you. And that's something that the drugs dimmed. When you take that amount of drugs, and when you're that heavily sedated, your body isn't your own, because you've got so many chemicals in your body, there's so many conflicting stories, and you've got so many layers. Like, that's one of the things, so many layers of stuff. So that's what I've been trying to do the last 6 months, is peel back the layers. Just get out, get Chloe back. I do quite a bit of meditation as well. Meditation has been one of the biggest, hugest things that have helped me on my journey, because meditation brings you back into your mind, and meditation centers you, brings you deep, and shows you things about yourself that you don't realize, because the world's so busy and you're so busy. So when you actually stop, you can look inside yourself. So through my meditation, I worked out that I've got 3 spirit guides who have visited me. These 3 spirit guides, one's a shaman who dresses in white, one's my auntie Marie, and the other one is my sister. That's another story. So my dad's a paediatrician, and he's a very smart man. Hi, Dad. And a couple of years ago, I had a stroke, which I think was related to the drugs. And through that stroke, they did some brain scans, and in the brain scans, they found a 4 mil calcified. I call it like a calcified thing, and it's right in my head, like right sort of down there, so it's too deep to operate. And talking to my dad and one of his friends who's a neurologist, they said that it's actually my twin, which means an embryo. So, which means when I was in utero in my mum, there were 2 of us, and I survived and my sister didn't. So really, I put it as in I ate my sister.
And she's stuck in your head.
And she's stuck in my head.
She won't leave.
So there is documentation on this. There is. So deep down there, that's my sister in there. So anyway, she's come to be beside me as well, and she gave me lots of messages about who she was, and mainly through my phone as well. But I'll get back to that. So I don't know her name, but she's with me all the time, and I know she's with me all the time because her soul's in my body. Her soul's up here, her soul's here, and she's been with me for my whole life. I've just never explored her. And what else I feel is I'm just starting to work out that I can feel spirits. I don't know the right word for them because they haven't described themselves as spirits, but I feel other people. I feel other people around me. And I think I need to go into ice baths because the reason that I can start feeling, and I actually saw them for the first time, was through ice baths. So I actually met Nat when we were doing ice baths. Every 2 weeks we get together with a group of people in Alice Springs and we do ice baths. And if you research the Iceman Wim Hof, that's what we do. So one of the other saving graces is that helped me come out of my depression, anxiety, and my awakening was actually ice baths because I had such severe anxiety. The reason I started to do ice baths is because that helped me deal with my fear. And it's fear that feeds anxiety attacks as well. So I thought if I can get to the core of my fear, if I can sit with my fear and deal with my fear, then I might be able to overcome it. And so getting in the ice is, when I first started getting in the ice, that was why I did it, because it put me straight back into the flight-fight response, which is what anxiety is. So you drop into the ice, and as soon as you drop in, it's instant. You're in the flight-fight response. Your body goes into shock. You just want to run. You just want to get out. Your head screaming at you, just get out, run. Oh my God, you're going to die, get out. And it's that fear, and it's that flight or fight. Heart's going, and you just, and you're like this. And it's, if you just learn to sit with it, which is what I did, just sit with it instead of running, instead of fighting it, just go inside and sit. Just sit with it. You find after a minute or two, that your mind takes over. It's not even your mind. It's that goes. There's this inner peace that takes over and starts up here and works its way down. And it's in that moment and those next few minutes of sitting in the ice that you can actually go deep inside yourself, go really, really deep, and you can find things out about yourself that you didn't know existed. Go really, really deep. But before I want to talk about that, it's also, when you have an anxiety attack, it starts here, and then it goes to your body. Goes here, like here, heart, tense, ball, tiny. All you can do is, you just want to curl up. You want the world just to swallow you up, and it's heart going. You can't talk, you can't open up, you can't think, you don't know your next thought. So getting in the ice actually trains your body as well. So when you're in the flight-fight response, it trains your body to relax. So if you're having an anxiety attack, if you're in the flight-fight response, teaching your body, okay, I'm okay. Teaching it to relax, which is what the ice does. Just teaches you that you're safe. So my last ice bath that I had, because I'm feeling so many people and spirits around me at the moment, I'm really receptive. And when I was in the ice, I went really, really deep into myself. And again, put my head down. My head wasn't down in the ice. It was only, my head was down in my vision. Put my head down, and then put my head up. And as I put my head up, I went from the world as we know it into the spirit world. It was like a pop, and came back on their side, except I could see we're in the backyard, it's in the ice, we had these people were still doing their thing, that was behind me, everyone else there was a few stretches over here, but dotted in between all these people were these other people. There was a couple of grandpa and grandma sitting here having a cup of tea on a table, and there was a lady over here playing tennis, and then there were some people walking through picking flowers, and there were just people everywhere. And when I was in the ice bath, when that happened, I refrained because I just wanted to yell out, "Oh my God, there's people everywhere! Look at them!" Because they were everywhere, and they didn't acknowledge me. They weren't scared of me, and I wasn't scared of them. They were just there.
And why do you think they're there?
because that's the other side. And I think that I'm in touch with the other side because it touched on the void, and I think I was right on the day that I was on the train tracks. I think that time bent, and I think that somehow a void happened, and I saw into that side. Well, I don't even think it was seeing. I think it was opening up my heart. Or someone gave me a gift.
Do you feel like you touched your true self in that moment? Like you touched your soul and then your soul came in?
Yes, I think my soul left my body and I think it came back in, but it wasn't the same soul.
So you were reborn.
Yeah, I was reborn.
On the train tracks of Alice Springs. Oh my goodness. Wow. You have such an amazing story, Chloe. Thank you for having the courage to share it.
I'm writing a book, so I have to have the courage to share it. I get up at 2:30, or sometimes 3:15, earlier than that, and write. Not every day, but I'm writing a book.
As you should. Mm-hmm. And there's so much stigma around this stuff, you know, being this psychically activated or sensitive, and then the whole mental illness stuff. It's like, that's all got to drop away now. And so your story is helping that. Thank you. Oh. Well done. Well done.
I'm not finished yet. You can interview me many times. I got way more shit
to tell you. This is part one, by the way. Part one of many to come. That's why you got to write a book.
Okay.
So if you are out there and you're listening to Chloe's story and you feel a resonance, or this is what you've experienced and you want to reach out, you're open to that, aren't you?
Absolutely. I'll give you my phone number. Actually, no, you don't have to put your phone number.
We'll find another way.
But
you can comment below this video for a start.
But I would really like to talk to you, and I'm open to talk to you if you feel that you want to connect with me, or you feel like you're in a place of suicide and I can help you. I will help you. I will talk to you. I will tell you that life is beautiful and life is gorgeous, and get up every morning, get out of bed, get up at 4:30 and do stuff. Live, breathe, jump, kiss, like feel your heart. Like you just have to know that it's a moment in time, and your life has, I'm not very good with maths, maybe 2 million more seconds, moments. And that 2 million moments, the moment that you choose to end your life comes down to 1 second. Actually comes down to 1 second. Because that 1 second is that one decision. One decision. Step back. Just keep stepping back. Step back from where you are. Step back from being in the shed, the rope. Step back from the train track. Step back from the bridge. Just step back. Step back. Step back. And then there's your army. There is your army. Right behind. Right behind.
Thank you. Go and have a beautiful day.
Drinking my juice,
Woo!
my healthy juice.
Thanks for watching. She's a star. Watch out for her. There'll be more of this to come.